How do you feel about the Venezuela War Powers resolution?
I'm encouraged by the vote in the Senate. They picked up steam over there, so we'll see how we do here. When we offered the War Powers resolution in December, one of the objections was that it was premature, that there weren't boots on the ground, and that we weren't really in Venezuela.
What are your expectations on the Venezuela War Powers resolution in the House?
I believe we've got a strong bipartisan majority that supports congressional power to declare war. I mean, it's in the Constitution, and this is a lawless situation where you have a president who thinks that he can, at will, commit the military forces of America.
I do not need the Senate. These people work for me. That leaked line hit senior Republicans like a fire alarm at 2:17 a.m. Here's the twist. McConnell, Thune, and Cornyn decided to make it structural, not symbolic. No vote on the Emergency Powers Expansion Act, no campaigning with Trump unless the foreign policy talk cools down, and a promise to back incumbents if he launches primaries. Want to know which 12 senators signed on by noon and why Lindsey Graham's shift matters? Keep watching. The next 72 hours could decide if the GOP stays one party or splits. Why did that one line flip the switch? Because it wasn't trash talk, it was a job posting. These people work for me, took the fear every senator has, losing their seat, and replaced it with something worse, losing the Senate itself. Leaders can live with angry tweets. They can't live with being told their branch is a prop. The wake-up came fast. At 2:17 a.m., phones lit up with the demand for a Friday vote on the Emergency Powers Expansion Act. No markup, no hearings, no time for staff to read the thing without caffeine poisoning. The message was simple: pass it or get primary. That's not negotiation. That's a full-court press with brass knuckles. And yes, it arrived with a follow-up blast at dawn, complete with the leak that made every chief of staff swear under their breath. You could hear the survival instincts kick in. Trump's threat was to primary every Republican who resists. The counter threat in every senator's head was, do you want to lose to a MAGA YouTuber, or do you want to watch the Senate turn into a stage prop for Grumpy Trumpy? Pride met polling. The math got ugly. Self-preservation and the old Senate ego, co-equal branch, advise and consent, all that, finally stood in the same corner. McConnell's sleep lasted about as long as a fire alarm. Thune and Cornyn ended up on a three-way call while staffers tore through the audio leak to make sure it wasn't a deep fake. They played it, replayed it, and then just sat there in that dead silence leaders get when they realize the next move sets the tone for years. Calls stacked, calendars cleared. Nobody said the quiet part out loud, but everyone heard it anyway. Here's the policy piece without the spin. Emergency powers exist so presidents can act fast in real crises. They're supposed to be limited, checked, and reviewable. We've seen the fights before under the National Emergencies Act, border wall funding, sanctions authorities, pandemic flexes, each time with Congress arguing over scope and sunset rules. The tradition is you argue, you amend, you add guardrails. What got lobbed at 2:17 a.m. wasn't a guardrail. It was a bulldozer. And the ask, it was like your roommate saying, hey, can you cover Netflix this month? And also, small favor, donate a kidney by Friday. One ask too far. You can share the password. You don't hand over vital organs on a deadline. Leadership clocked the core problem. It wasn't the policy page count. It was the signal that Congress is optional. In that world, hearings are cosplay and votes are party favors. If they accept that once, it's the new normal the next time, and the next, until the Senate's only job is to clap on cue. So a plan formed, fast and cold. Keep it structural, not symbolic. Defend the Senate's turf before it's gone. No floor time for a bill that rewires emergency authority without process. No more pretending threats or strategy. Use the institution's tools: procedure, coalition, and money. They settled on 3 moves. First, draft a 5-page letter that says, in plain constitutional English, Dear Donald, no. Second, refuse the vote clock. No Friday rubber stamp. If you want a new emergency framework, you get hearings and amendments like everyone else. Third, tie campaign support to a simple standard. Tone down the foreign policy firebombs. Stop spooking allies. Stop treating NATO like a neighborhood HOA. You can stiff. That was the mini payoff inside the long night. Staff started lining up signatories. Legal teams polished the citations. Fundraisers circled with the donor readouts. The Senate wasn't promising a fistfight. It was marking the end of the hostage period. With the letter moving and the phones humming, the real test wasn't drafting. It was nerve. Who puts their name down before lunch, knowing the tweets are coming, and who waits for cover that may never arrive? Which 12 Republicans jumped first? And why did Lindsey Graham finally blink after years of cable news defense? Short answer, the ground under them moved. Longer answer, by 9:15 a.m., McConnell had rung 15 senior Republicans, staffers blasted out the draft, and everyone could see the play. No drama, just a countdown. Offices traded edits, lawyers tweaked the constitutional bits, and schedulers started blocking time like it was a blizzard warning. This wasn't a vibe check. It was a head count with receipts. The first wave made sense. Romney, Collins, Murkowski signed early. They've lived in the land of no thanks for a while, but the action sat with the wobblers, the ones who like the base love but hate the base chaos. Phones lit up with donor texts about stability and predictability, which is donor code for stop lighting matches near the bond market. Foreign policy hands whispered about NATO blowback, not as theory, but as, hey, embassies are calling. Internal data landed like a cold shower. Swing state numbers dinged Trump-branded candidates by 6 points. That's the kind of slide that turns safe seats into weekend projects. Then came the curveballs. Notes from Graham and Rubio hit inboxes. Surprise is doing a lot of work here, because those two don't usually color outside the Trump lines. But the math was ugly, and the noise level was rising. The letters draft had teeth. By 10:47 a.m., the line that mattered was baked in. We can no longer in good conscience enable conduct that threatens constitutional order and undermines the institutional prerogatives granted to the United States Senate. That sentence may be 5 lawyers wide, but it spoke fluent Senate. It also told every office intern where this was headed. Graham's pivot had a simple logic. Years of TV defense only carry you so far when your colleagues hear threats against allied territory and the Senate's authority in the same breath. He told a private call, there is a line, and he just crossed it. For a guy who's been a human shield on air, that's not a shrug. That's a turn signal. Rubio's note landed cleaner, but meant the same thing. The institution comes before the brand when the brand sets fire to the institution. The pressure was not just vibes and tweets. 42 GOP Senate staffers told their bosses they'd walk if the offices folded. That's not a press release. That's your calendar, your comm shop, and your constituent services threatening to evaporate on a Monday. Office machinery became leverage. Add the U.S. Chamber and the National Association of Manufacturers pushing constitutional stability, and the business wing stopped whispering. Allies chimed in on Article 5 like a smoke alarm you can't shut off. The message, stop playing HOA games with NATO. Leadership mapped a contingency tree. First, a press conference to explain the stand using calm lawyer talk, not cable rants. Second, a $50 million defense fund to back incumbents targeted for signing. Third, a censure-linked resolution in the drawer if the rhetoric gets hotter. That told every senator 2 things. We'll cover your flank, and we're ready to escalate if needed.